the Declaration of Independence. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station, to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among this life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments were instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new governments. Laying the foundation on such principles and organizing the powers in such a form to them shall seem mostly like factor safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for lies and transient causes, and according to our experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves and abolish the forms to which they are accustomed to. But where long trends of abuses with patience, perceiving invariably the same object, even designed to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is a right, it is a duty to set off such a government and provide new gods for the future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity to constrain them to alter the former systems of government. The history of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and dissipations, all have indirect object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused the central laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden the governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended the operation till the century to be obtained. When so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws of recommendation of a larger district of people, unless those people would relinquish a right to representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places with unusual, uncomfortable, and distant departure of their public record, for that sole purpose of thinking them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved the representative houses repeatedly of opposing with feminists mention about the right of the people. He has refused for a long time after dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed all dangers, invasion from without and convulsion ceasing. He has endeavored to prevent population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to carry their migration hither, and raising conditions and new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice, refusing to pass others for establishing their inland judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his via law for the tenure of their officers and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected multitude of new officers and sent swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. He has kept among us in the time of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has kept rented military independent of and superior to the civil powers. He is combined with others subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving the scent of the pretended legislation. For quartering large bodies of army troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment of any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us, in many cases, of benefit of trial by jury, for transgress fiancés to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free systems of English laws in the neighboring province, establishing the inland arbitrary government, at the long boundaries so as to render advanced example and fit instrument by introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. By taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. For suspending our old legislatures, declaring themselves by invested with power to legislate for us in many cases whatsoever. He had abdicated government here and declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, banned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with segmentation and cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, and become executioners of the friend and brother, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. He has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers. His most Indian savages, whose non-rule of warfare is undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of this operation, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince, as cracked, as marked by every act which defying a tyrant, is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting attention to our British brethren. We are warning them from time to time attempted by the legislature to extend the unveritable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We appeal to them of justice and magnanimity. We have conjured them by the ties of a common kindred to disavow usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connection and correspondence. There must have been there the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the nonsense of separation. We hold them and we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in January Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of these good people of this colony, solemnly publish and declare that these United Colonies thereof right ought to be free and independent states, that thereof absolve all allegiances from the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. As a free and independent states, therefore power to levy war, conquer peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent state may of right do, for the support of this declaration with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. We mutually pledge to each other of our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Today, July 4th, 2018, Independence Day.